Good morning, everybody. How you doing today? My name's Andrew.
I'm Grandpa.
I'm Matt.
I'm Joel.
I'm Megan.
I'm Mimi.
I'm Petey.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Aunt Becky.
And we're some of the Veggie Boys.
And girls.
And I'd like to thank you for stopping by. Welcome back, everyone. It's so nice to see you. Today is a special video because we're going to be giving you an equipment tour. Now, for those of you that don't know, we farm about 400 acres here in Northeast Pennsylvania, and 80 of those 400 acres is exclusively vegetables. So this equipment tour may be a little bit different because we're going to share some pieces of equipment that you may have never seen before. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing because we can grow a lot of things on the farm, but one thing we can't grow is this channel without your help. So now I'll start showing you some of the equipment we have, and I hope you enjoy. Now, starting off, we have our New Holland TS6 130. This is our largest cab tractor with a bucket loader attachment. Now, because this is the largest tractor that we have on the farm, it gets a lot of the heavy duty work. With the larger implements that we have on the farm, it's usually up to this tractor to be able to pull everything. And as you can see, we use it because it's dirty. On to our next tractor, we have our New Holland TL100. This tractor is used quite a bit on the farm. We use it when we're spreading fertilizer, and we use this when we're planting and cultivating vegetables, which is a big part of our operation. Although this tractor is starting to get a little on the older side, and it is starting to see wear and tear here and there, this machine does a lot of good for us, and it works hard. Our next tractor is a New Holland TS110. This tractor is a real workhorse. We've had this thing for a very long time, and it always gets the job done. All the tractors that you've seen are used throughout the entire year. And this TS110 is our last cab tractor that we own. Although this technically is not our tractor, I do like to mention it because you will see it occasionally on the farm. This is my cousin's New Holland T1520. Now you see this tractor used a lot on his YouTube channel called A Stable Life, and we'll occasionally use it for ourselves. The fact that it is a smaller compact tractor helps out a lot. And we actually have our New Holland TS110 hooked up to our New Holland 185 manure spreader. Now this manure spreader has a very wide wheelbase and it holds heavy loads, and that's very important to us because this makes quick work of all the manure that we have to load around here. Now that we're moving on from our tractors, we have a very important piece of equipment here. We have our New Holland LS170 skid steer loader. We used to think that a skid steer loader wasn't too important until we owned one. Now it's like we can't live without a skid steer loader. We use this thing basically every day. We use it for feeding the animals. We use it for cleaning up around the farm. We do have a pallet fork attachment, and we also have a bale spike attachment for it. So this thing gets used pretty heavily on the farm. Next, I'd like to show you our New Holland 353 feed grinder. This feed grinder is ran using a PTO, and this particular feed grinder has multiple screens that allow us to change the size of the feed. We raise all different kinds of animals on the farm: cattle, turkeys, chickens, and being able to grind our own feed is something that's very important to us. Now, planters are a big part of our operation here, and I'm sorry if it's a little dark. I'm in the back of the barn. This is our 4-row Plant Master potato planter. Because we're a vegetable farm, potatoes are a necessity to have planted, and we've always struggled with having a really nice planter. We've used an older 2-row planter, but we started using this 4-row planter this year, and it helped us out a ton. And also in our shop, we have our John Deere 1750 corn planter. Now you can call this planter by other names, but most people know it as a corn planter. Now what's really interesting is we can actually change the discs out on this planter, and not only do we plant sweet corn and field corn with it, we also plant green beans, yellow beans, and flat beans. And we even have discs that allow us to plant pumpkins. So this 6-row planter really does a lot on the farm. And a piece of equipment that we just got finished using was our John Deere 9500 combine. Now we raise a variety of grains on the farm: corn, beans, oats, wheat, and rye. And this John Deere 9500 handles all of those amazingly. This is our International 4900. We use this truck for hauling many things. Probably the thing it's used for most, though, is hauling grain. This truck does a lot for us here on the farm, and it's one of the best machines we have. Now, if we're gonna do an equipment video on the farm, we need to mention this thing right here. This is a Van Dam air seeder. It has an exhaust fan on it and a blower. Now, what you do is you dump your seeds on here, you turn on the fan, and on this exact screen, there is 512 different holes. This allows you to seed up to 512 seeds at one time, so you don't need to go through and individually drop the seeds. I am not overstating this when I say millions and millions of plants have came from this machine. When we think about our vegetable crop, our tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, zucchini, basically everything that we raise outside of corn and beans, it comes from this. All throughout the years where we have used this on the channel, a lot of our viewers like this machine and they wish they had one of their own. Now here in greenhouse number 4, we have 2 elevators that we use. This elevator, we kind of use it for like different things here and there. It was mostly used for moving potatoes, but now this elevator right here, this is our hay elevator. And this thing has loaded a lot of bales for us. We didn't have a hay elevator for a really long time, and then all us kids, for lack of a better term, basically begged my dad to get us one. And ever since we've gotten it, we have enjoyed using it. This is our mulch layer that we got from Rainflow. What this essentially does is makes a bed that lays a biodegradable mulch over the top, and that is what we plant the majority of our vegetables into. Not only does it make a bed and lay the biodegradable mulch over top, it actually allows us to take a drip line and lay it underneath so that we can irrigate our crop. This machine is called a water wheel transplanter. The way it works is you have 1 or 2 people sit on the back, and then as you go across the bed of mulch, our water wheel will poke holes into the mulch, and then water is fed down into the water wheel that helps pull the plant fast into the soil. Ours comes equipped with a few different levels that allows you to store more plants as you go along. Now this machine is what we use to plant most of our tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant. We have used this machine to plant pumpkins, gourds, and some other specialty fall items onto some mulch that we had laid. This machine is basically like a jack of all trades. We could plant almost anything with it. We have another machine called a mechanical transplanter that you'll see later on. But those are our 2 main planters. And right next to our water wheel transplanter, we have a 2-row corn planter unit. The mulch layer attached with the corn planter units allows us to have a much earlier harvest of sweet corn than we normally would have. Now this was something new that we just tried this past year, but we had tried it a few years before borrowing one of the neighbors, and it worked so well that we thought we should get our own. This is our Chevy 3500. This truck is a little bit different from your standard truck that you would see. This is called a cabin chassis. We use this truck for hauling vegetables quite often. We will take it to auctions and we'll go to wholesalers with it. This is a Kawasaki Teryx 4 Sport. Now this is my personal machine, but we will be using it on the farm. It's got a little bed in the back that we can put vegetables in, and we can drive to and from the fields with it. So this will be very helpful on the farm. Currently, I'm out on the pastured ground that we use for our cattle. Unfortunately, we are not able to store all of our equipment indoors, which is something we wish we could do. Starting off with our wagons, this is one of our peckways. Now this is a wagon that we use for straw and hay, and it's very interesting because it has flared sides on the top. This is our second wagon. This is a Stoltz. We affectionately call it the green wagon, and then we have another Stoltz that we call the red wagon. Next to our green wagon, we have 2 silage wagons that we use on the farm. They are both New Holland, which you will see is a common theme. We use a lot of New Holland on the farm. This one close to us does work a little bit better than the other one, but they're still both great wagons. On this pastured ground, we have a 6-row John Deere corn head. We also have a John Deere 915 platform header. Now this platform header did have a different reel on it that we have now changed. This header is used for our beans and wheat mostly. This is our International chisel plow. We've had this chisel plow for a very long time, and it's done great work for us. Now we're gonna head to the barn where a majority of our equipment is. We have made it to the barn that has a lot of our equipment in it, and this thing is packed full. We do not have near the storage space that we would like, but what we do have, we make good use of. Starting up here in our front corner is our International 950 potato planter. Now this is a 2-row planter, and it was a little on the older side. This is what we used before the 4-row planter. We had a few years of potatoes that they just didn't look great, and it was because they weren't planted correctly. But now that we've got the 4-row potato planter, we just keep this thing around just in case, but this thing probably won't be seeing much action for a very long time. Next in our shop, we have our 15-foot bush hog mower. Now it is a little dirty right now. We did have some more corn stalks to clean up. We did have a much smaller mower at one time, but we just had so much that we needed to mow, we felt it was important to get a larger one. Now this right here is a 4-row corn planter. We did take all of the units on the back and rebuild them ourselves. This is what we had used before we had our 6-row planter. Now this plants at 36-inch spacing, which makes it a little easier to get down between the rows. So we do still use this planter for certain things. We will plant beans, we'll do our green beans, yellow beans, and flat beans, and we'll also do some pumpkins as well. Next we have our 2-row mechanical transplanter. Now this transplanter is driven by these wheels, which runs each of these planting units in the back. There are 4 seats on this, so you can have up to 4 people working on it. Now what do we plant with our mechanical transplanter? Well, we can plant basically anything. We've planted tomatoes and peppers with it before, but we mostly use it for onions, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. We will plant some kohlrabi with this. We also have planted all different types of lettuce, and I'm sure there's some other things we planted with this that I just for some reason cannot remember. Next we have our New Holland windrower. Now this thing is folded up pretty tight to save some space, but this piece of equipment has done a lot of good for us. Because of all the horses and cattle that we have on the farm, having a good windrower was important to us, and that's what we have. Behind our windrower, we have our New Holland disc bind. Now this is one of the greatest pieces of equipment we have ever had on the farm when it comes to our hay harvest. If you do not use a disc bind, I don't know what to tell you. These things work great. If you just don't have the acreage, I understand that. But compared to a different style mower, these disc binds are great. As you can see, sticking with the theme, this is a New Holland. You keep going back in line, this is our hay equipment. You're gonna see more New Holland. Now for us, the disc bind has a little more sentimental value because this was like the first newest piece of a hay equipment that we've had on the farm. As us boys have gotten older, me and my brothers and my cousins, we've continued to get new equipment. That's been pretty exciting. But when we got one of these on the farm, whew, it was like a whole new ball game. Now, as you've seen, we've already gone over our windrower, our disc bind, and now we have our New Holland tedder. Because of the extra acreage of hay ground that we've been picking up, this tedder has been doing a lot more work. And I mean, we enjoy using New Holland equipment, but this stuff just works so well for us and we like it. Next, I'd like to show you our bale wrapper. Now, we do round bales and square bales, and when we harvest the round bales, a lot of times we'll wrap them with a little bit of moisture for the cattle. So this diamond wrapper that we have here does a great job with that. And although it's kind of hidden by the other baler, right here is our New Holland round baler. It's a 450. Again, like all the other hay equipment, we've upgraded a lot recently. So that is very new, and it's a beautiful machine. How many times have I said beautiful machine today? Probably too many times, but I don't mind. It's a beautiful machine. Now moving on from our round baler, we have our square baler. This is a New Holland 5070. Again, kind of on the new side. Again, a New Holland product. I mean, New Holland, come on, look at us. Look at us. Send me some new hats. I'd love to wear them. But anyway, this square baler that we have is probably one of the most used hay implements on the farm. We do a lot of straw square bales and a lot of hay square bales. Now this is the smaller square bales that we do. They do make balers that do the large squares. We have never found a need for one of them. A lot of my life, I remember it being very, very hot and us using the square baler and then stacking in the barn. Now we didn't always have one as nice as this, but we've always done square bales. Starting right there, we've kind of gone in a line of our hay equipment. We have our windrower, disc bind, tedder, small square baler, round baler, and then we also have our bale wrapper. I definitely could not have a video about our equipment without mentioning our Pull Picks bean harvester. Now this is a pick saw and we use it to harvest our green beans, yellow beans, and flat beans. It is PTO driven that runs a belt throughout the entire system. The beans follow into the feeder housing and then underneath it is metal fingers that strip the plants. The beans then follow a system of conveyors into a fan that pulls out all the debris and all the plant matter and kicks it out the back. And then our beans continue to climb up and then fall down this hopper into our baskets. As someone who has harvested a lot of beans by hand in his lifetime, this is my favorite machine ever. Like, hands down. It's great. Now right next to our bean harvester, we have our New Holland silage chopper. We don't cut too much with this silage chopper because when we do our bags, we have someone come and chop for us. But as we go throughout the year, we do use it occasionally just to make sure that we have enough for our cattle. And as long as we keep up to date with it, it works pretty well. And then last but not least, we have our potato windrower. We used this quite a lot this year. We were having so much trouble with our potato harvester that we picked a lot of them up off the ground. Now this machine's job is to take 2 rows and put them together as one, and we ended up just dumping the potatoes on the top using the conveyor and picking them up by hand. If we didn't have this machine this year, I don't know what we would have done because it took us a long time to get our potato harvester up and running. But for the most part, we're pretty happy with the way that machine worked for us, and we'll definitely be using it next year. I've moved to a different section with a few different implements. Right here we have a moldboard plow. We move down a little further, we have a vibra-shank, and then we also have a disc. Now these pieces of equipment here are not the fanciest, but they definitely get the job done. I think we would like to have a new plow, but more than that, we would like to have a new disc, so we've been looking around. But that's not the reason why I came out here. I have a different piece of equipment that I'd like to show you. Now this right here is a Thomas Air Vac harvester. It is a pull behind PTO driven machine that has a lot of moving parts. Hydraulics do a lot of the work for us on this machine, and there's something special about it. As we pull the machine along, it cuts into the soil and our conveyors pull the potatoes up. The potatoes follow a system of conveyors that helps to remove weeds and break up any dirt clumps. And then once the potatoes make their final pass up this conveyor, they go into this little compartment right here that has a fan turning at very high speeds. And that is why this motor is on this machine, because you need to run the fan high enough that it sucks the potatoes out of all the other debris. We have two systems of conveyors here. On this side is called the potato side, that is the rock side, and the idea is that all the potatoes get pulled by the fan onto this side, and all the rocks and debris go off onto the ground. This is a really amazing piece of equipment, and when it comes to potatoes, it makes harvesting them a lot easier. And this is gonna finish off our equipment tour. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Oh, you know what? I actually didn't get a chance to show you all the equipment. I forgot some of the most important equipment that we have.
I'm Grandpa.
I'm Matt.
I'm Joel.
I'm Megan. I'm Mimi.
I'm Petey.
I'm Daniel.
I'm Tracy. I'm Aunt Becky.
4, 5, 6, 8, 7, and not 9, 10. None of this would be possible without the family that we have, without the friends that we have helping us out. So we want to give a big shout out to all the family members, all the friends that help us out. There's some really hard workers. There's some machines. That is some equipment you can't live without. And that's where we're gonna be ending the equipment tour, everyone. I hope all of you enjoyed. If there is a piece of equipment you'd like to know more information about, or if there's something you think I missed, please mention it to me in the comments and I'll do my best to make it up another time. But since this is the end of the equipment tour, that means this is where we're gonna be ending the video today. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.